Hi guys, and welcome to a new episode on this channel. Today we will be talking about this book called Stephen Hawking, Great Lives in Graphics. And let's get started. Alright. These Great Lives in Graphics is about Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking had loads of unusual things that happened here. He liked to keep bees in the basement, and he and his sisters tried to find other ways, either than the back and front doors, to get into the house, like bank robbers or something. And they had a lot of physics books, and they loved science a lot. He was called Einstein at his school because he made some clock parts and some old telephone into a computer. Row, row, row the boat. He entered a rowing boat club where he became this man called the coxswain, which was the guy who orders people of doing stuff. It is said there were a lot of accidents happened to him, but one of them he said, "Not my fault." And yeah, it's a sport that everybody enjoyed. And then one day he had a body shock. He was put with ALS, which was nicknamed as Lou Gehrig's disease because Lou Gehrig, the famous baseball player, had also been diagnosed with ALS. It made his muscles not move, and he had into a deep depression. But then later he studied atomic bombs, and then later black holes, which he formed a theory of Hawking radiation in 1974. And which is the cause of shrinking the black hole. Then there was the Big Bang theory, and then there was the wheelchair. Now, the wheelchair was very expensive, and it was very high tech of his time. Stephen Hawking, since he lost his voice, he used his cheek movements as to speak. And later he was able to use a cursor to move around his computer and highlight words that will be spoken in an American accent voice. Now, Stephen Hawking was a British, but however, this machine was made in the Americas. So that was the why Stephen Hawking's voice of the computer is very American. Later, he loved this computer so much that he didn't even bother changing the sequence of the British. He was so into the American accent. Yeah. And then here's Stephen Hawking versus Einstein. Both of their let's start with similarities. Both their IQs were 160 over. They both liked science and math. Their education was a PhD, and they had both two wives. Albert Einstein now here's the same thing that is coincidence. Einstein died at 76 years old, and Stephen Hawking died at 76 years old. Here's the interesting thing. Albert Einstein was born on March 14th, and Stephen Hawking died on March 14th. By the way, just a minute. Thank you. March 14th is nicknamed as Pi Day because the first three in numbers of pi is 3.14, and March 14th is 3/114, which is 3.14. And they both died, and Einstein was born on Pi Day, and Hawking died on Pi Day. Coincidence, right? Now, bad habits. Albert's bad habit is not wearing socks. Yuck. And Hawking's bad habits is making bets where he lost almost all his fortune. And he had been in many television shows, such as Star Trek, The Simpsons cartoon, and then the Futurama, whatever that is, and then the Big Bang Theory, which I'm a very big fan of. And Little Britain for Comic Relief, and then Boing Typhon, and on his last year, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And his voice became the Guy Mark II. And on his 65th birthday, he went on a zero gravity ride on the Vomit Comet. Why Vomit Comet name? Well, a lot of people had to go, and astronauts were trained here by just going up and down, up and down, up and down, and that made a lot of passengers wanting to hurl. Hence the name Vomit Comet. Yeah. And that's where the book ends here. one thing you can learn with this book is about Stephen Hawking's life. The other stuff is about science and physics explained simply in modern day language, which is what Stephen has been trying to write his books about. And then he finally was able to do it in a sci-fi book called George's Secret Key to the Universe with his daughter Lucy Hawking. By the way, there are other books I have, like George and the Blue Moon. Yeah, George and the Blue Moon. I actually have all these books here. George and the Blue Moon, this is the book of Lucia and Stephen Hawking. And there are loads of others, such as George's Secret Key to the Universe, George and his Cosmic Treasure, and George and the Big Bang, which I'm currently reading. And there are loads and loads and more with Pookie and all that stuff. And this is where I want to end this episode. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as much as I did, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next episode. Shinhan out. Peace! Oh, and get ready for the trailer of Stephen Hawking's Direction. If I ever succeed in making the trailer. See ya!